Today we're just going to do a screen replacement, full LCD and glass screen replacement on a iPhone 6. First thing that we're going to do is remove the two bottom screws. Alright, next I'm going to take my isesamo tool, put it in down here, pop this. I'm going to use my finger to kind of separate the rest of that, you can see. Okay, so first thing of course that we want to do is remove the battery. Let's see. Sorry, there's a piece of glass on there. Alright, so I'm just going to remove the battery. Well, not remove the battery, basically unplug the battery. Use my little plastic tool down here. Okay. Plastic tool is just going to help you. You're not going to bridge any kind of metal, and at the same time, plastic's just going to keep things easier, keep it from breaking. Alright, so now what we're going to do is remove these 5 screws right here. These are probably of the utmost importance. Make sure that you actually put these, when you put these aside, make sure that you put them in the exact order that they work. So when you put them back in the phone, they need to be in the same order. These 2 screws specifically, if you mix these up with other screws here, they will actually cause long screw damage, and basically you'll be getting a blue screen of death, because underneath of these there are traces that go right underneath the board, and when you put one of the other screws in that are a little bit longer, it actually bridges those connections underneath the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these. I'm going to take that off. Again, I'm going to use my plastic connector tool to go ahead and remove these connections. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side. I don't need this right now. I have my new screen, which I will keep right over here. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start taking this apart. So I'm going to start here at the bottom, remove these 3 screws. Again, you want to make sure that you're keeping all of this in order. You need to know where these go back in. None of these screws are the same size. They're all different sizes. Some people use magnets to keep their screws organized. I personally don't. But it just depends on what suits your fancy. Now there's 3 screws here, 1, 2, 3 down the side. We're going to go ahead and take those out too. This is basically going to remove this frame from the back of this device. However, it is still connected right here, so you cannot just rip this off. It is connected to the frame and by adhesive. I'm going to show you how to take that off without messing anything up here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and take these 3 screws out up here. take this cage off. That over here. You can fold this camera back and go ahead and pop the speaker out. This is the ear speaker for the device. You want to make sure not to put this, if you do have a mat, try not to put it on there, on your magnetized mat. Same with the camera. You don't want to put your cameras on a magnetized mat. Okay, so now I got 3 more screws going down this side. Okay, so as you can see, this is still adhered down here. It also has the home button flex, which senses your touch connected to it. So first thing is first, we're going to go ahead and disconnect that home flex. Just going to pop it up. So I went ahead and disconnected that. Alright, so this is how we get these off without messing them up. You're going to want to take a heat gun. You can use a hair dryer. You know, you don't need too much heat. You definitely don't want too much heat because you will melt these parts if you use too much heat. I personally like to use right around 100 degrees Celsius. However, like I said, you can use a hair dryer. Just keep it on there on high, put it nice and close, and leave it there for about 45 seconds to make sure that you're getting the adhesive. Basically you're just trying to heat it up enough so where you can literally easily remove these, because if you do not put adhesive on these, when you're taking this up many times, you're going to break this flex. And this home button right here is married to the board, so if you break this flex, the only way you're going to get that home button to ever work again with the fingerprint sensor is taking it to Apple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just over here just heating these up. Go ahead and I can use my finger to pull this up because the adhesive is perfect now. Alright, so now I'm just going to push from the back side, slowly pull up that home button. I like pushing from the back side. It doesn't, that way you're not ripping any of this rubber gasket that's around there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. Now I'm going to heat this up a little bit more so I can heat this. This is your basically home flex cable. Alright, so it's going to be ready now. So I can go ahead and take this, pull this up, slowly pull that up. So you can see I have removed that without breaking that cable. So now I'm going to put this to the side. One last thing, I like to use heat up here also. This is when you are taking off the camera flex. It just makes it so much easier by using heat. So again, I'm using 100 degrees Celsius. I'm just going to kind of heat that area up. Grab my tweezers. Alright. Take my tweezers and go right over here and lift this up. Be very gentle right here. Okay, you got the proximity sensor over here, so you want to definitely be careful with that. Alright, so now what you have left is you got the the microphone right here. We have to get that up, so I like to heat that up a little bit too. Show you how I do that. Alright, so that's going to be warm enough now. Go ahead and take this, put it right underneath here. Go ahead and lift this up. Alright, so there's your flex, that's your old screen. Sell these things back to a refurbishment company, get yourself a little bit of money. Alright, so now I'm going to take the new screen. I'm going to take this off. First thing I like to do is take this. You need to hold this down. Go ahead and put this over top of it, so like that. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do here, when I put it back together, I like to put the side screws in to keep this thing, together. So I'm going to go ahead and put these side screws back in. I'm going to go to the other side and put these back in. Alright. Alright, so now I've got all three of those in. I'm going to go ahead and put my home button back in. Alright, there's a little white, kind of like a little nipple right here. There's a hole also in this flex. You just want to line those up and push that down. And then you're going to flip this back over and connect this to that cable. So that's now good. Let me go ahead and put this on. And then you just want to make sure your home button's clicking correctly. So, yep, feels great. So now we're going to do the top portion. It's a little bit trickier. So most of the new screens, they're going to come with a little bit of adhesive right here. That's to keep your proximity and mic down. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Alright, again, there's a little hole right here. You're going to match that up with the little plastic nipple that's on the back of the phone. I'm going to match those up. Use my tweezers to make sure it's down good. That's perfect. Then now I'm going to put my proximity sensors in their place. I want to be very gentle during this part. You don't want to be pushing anything to get it to sit flush. So everything's good there. Now I'm going to take my earpiece speaker. There's a little, this looks a little dirty, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit for the customer. Go ahead and put that in there. There's a gasket that it just kind of sits in. So let's go ahead and get that on there. Alright. So now while I'm holding this down with this finger, I'm going to flip over this camera flex. There's two little nipples right here on the actual earpiece that go through this flex right here and right here. Then you need to make sure that your camera is going in. It's got like a little camera socket. Now I'm going to hold all this in place once I get it in place. And then I'm going to take this frame, put it over here while everything's holding in place. Alright. So that's good to go. And now I'm going to put my screws in. This part can be a little tricky and harder to get used to, but it's not bad once you do a couple of them. Alright, so now that you got one in, you can kind of just work your way to the next screw. You don't have to hold it anymore. Let's see. Alright. That screws in there. Now I got one more screw. If I can get these screws in. Alright. That's good to go. All three screws in. So now that screen is ready to roll. I bring my housing back over here. And what I'm going to do is begin to put these on. Now these are most likely going to be in the wrong order, so I'm going to have to flip this. So pull this back over and kind of flip this over. That one needs to go second, this one goes third, and that one goes fourth in that order. So right. I'm going to go ahead and click these in. You won't always hear that clicking sound, you know, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Just make sure it's nice and snug in there. Alright. So all four of those are in. So now I'm going to take my cage. Again, this is the most important part. Make sure that these are all in the right order. Same exact order as you took them out, and they need to go back in. Put that middle one in last. Alright, and last but not least, I'm going to put the battery back in, or reconnect that. Go ahead and put this cage back over. These two screws back in. Of course, you don't want to torque anything too much. You just screw it in as soon as you feel it getting a little bit tight, and that's going to be good enough. You don't need to torque these things down. Alright, so I'm going to push down here on the top. There's a little kind of frame lip here at the top that you're going to get the screen under. And just go around here and push it into place. And then we have the two screws at the bottom. And screw these back in. There's one. And there's the other. Alright. And then we'll turn this on. And there you go. That is how you do a screen replacement on an iPhone 6. See a little bit better like that. Everything's good to go. If you have any comments or questions, just put them down below and I'll do my best to help you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.